Okay, welcome everybody. Welcome. The sutra for today reads, this is 2.14. It says in Sanskrit, Telada paritapa phala punya punya hetut vat. I'm not sure if I just butchered that Sanskrit or not, but its translation is, the karmas bear fruits of pleasure and pain caused by merit and demerit. The karmas. So all of our action bears fruit. And what is the fruit? It's either pleasure or pain. And this pleasure and pain is caused by whether the action is meritorious or not meritorious. So let's take a moment to pause and just look at where there is happiness in our life, where there is suffering in our life, right? And this sutra is asking us basically to take full responsibility for the circumstances that we find ourselves in, right? So it's an attempt to prevent us from blaming others for our situation as much as possible. I know there's certain situations that are more difficult than others. This is not to cast shame on us for suffering. That's a really important point. We don't want to shame ourselves because we're suffering. That's not it. Um, but it's simply to take responsibility to know that we're in control of our future. I think that's to put a positive spin on it. We're in control of our future, and we can change our future based on what we do right now. So things that are meritorious, actions that are meritorious will cause pleasure. That which is not meritorious causes suffering. And I'll just share something briefly from my own experience. This afternoon, I was lifting weights, and so far everything was working good, and I got a little bit overly ambitious, and I tried to lift some weights, and my muscle gave out, and now I have some pain in my chest as a result of that. If I were to trace back the cause of that suffering, I can see a direct connection between being overly ambitious. So that there's the result, there's the fruit of action. And yet there's other parts of the weight training that I just did where, hey, it feels pretty good. So we can't stop trying. We got to keep going. And suffering is a clue that we have more discernment to do when we're doing something, right? Sometimes the only way we learn is through creating some suffering for ourselves. This is the case for the Buddha for sure. The story goes that he pursued enlightenment through extreme forms of fasting, and he was so thin from not eating enough, he was about to die, and he realized, okay, this ain't the path. Sometimes it takes that, right? But the main thing to take from this is that we can create our future. We determine our future, and we have to look closely at our actions, whether they're meritorious or not. And sometimes we don't know until we start to feel or experience some form of suffering in our life that is persistent. So suffering isn't a bad thing. It just means, okay, well, where can I take responsibility for this and change it? All right. So on that note, we try to be careful on the yoga mat not to hurt ourselves. And again, here's where ambition can get in the way. Got to have some ambition to do anything, but when we're overly so, that could be problematic, causing pain for us down the road. All right, so let's just take a moment to clarify, to discern what we're doing here. Why are we on this mat? Right? What is this about? And you don't have to come to some intellectual understanding of it, but just see if you can feel in your body a sense of uh, the answer to that question. It doesn't have to be a logical answer or a conceptual answer.